Order and pledge allegiance to the flag, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A couple of adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to move 7A up with finance so that after we get that done, be able to head home. And 5, review and approve board minutes of April 24th. We do not have them, so that. And I think I would like to put under new business 7C, I would like to talk about board minute recordings.
Thank you so much, Joe.
That's a great place to put that. New business, we can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it on the rolls, as we've talked about it before, but it's a new, if it's a.
Let's
I
start
am with
fresh. Everybody's
we'll
okay
start
with that?
That's fine.
All right. Communication and public.
Hold on a minute, hold on a minute.
Yep.
I'm gonna ask if we can have, a brief executive session, for the purpose of discussing, candidates for, the principal search, since, candidates were circulated to this board. Probably the best place to discuss it.
Okay, so we're gonna put it between 9. We're gonna put it between 10 and 11. We'll put an executive session.
Thank you.
Molly, can we add under 8C, get an update on the track surface?
Okay, so we've added 8C update on track. And between 10 and 11, we're going to have executive session.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm finished, okay.
Anyone else? Brenda?
I have a question. We have the board retreat coming up and we were supposed to have some things to review for it. I think it's curriculum or something.
So, Mike will speak to that during director's comments.
Right.
Anything else? Any public comments back there?
Molly.
Go ahead, Tim.
Tim, could you, just so they can pick you up here?
Sure.
Thanks.
I wonder, Molly and Andy, if this could wait until 7A, I think, or 7B, I think that's where you're gonna talk about appointments. It would just be comments about the math department needs for courses, and I know you have 3 candidates tonight to talk about. So should we wait till then?
Do you mind if Tim speaks during those, or would you like to hear it now?
Oh, that's fine, you can speak now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Anybody on the screen out there? Okay,
Nope.
all right. So we ixnayed the review and approve board minutes, and we're gonna move on to reports. And Jim, it's you, and then if you wanna also do 7A, review and accept RHR Smith.
Okay.
Call you?
All right.
We have Samantha Ruggles, who is with Ron Smith and Company as an auditor. Sam was here today and
Thank you.
and I'm gonna hand this over to Sam. Sam, I'm passing out the projected fund balance. The audit report, there's 2 areas that I certainly want you to get a hold of, and that is the fund balance, how it was arrived at, and understand that with the reserve fund balance, which I think is about 1.3 million. And that is going in a separate account earning interest. So the other area that always is a concern at the high school level, and that is the student activity account. Now, we've got a fiduciary responsibility, which means, we have to make sure that it's done in a certain format, certain process, certain procedure. And we have to tie in with the bank balance on June 30th. So at the end, because I just want to say the high school one, you have to understand, I mean, I'm not sure how much ours is, but typically it's $200,000 balance that you're carrying, for classes and other fundraising stuff. And you want to make sure that that's handled appropriately and there's a process and procedure that's very exacting. Just if you're dealing with cash and sometimes in raising funds for the yearbook and that type of stuff, you are dealing with cash, and there has to be a process and procedure. So, Sam will touch on that a little bit. Sam, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me? My internet is a little funky tonight, so.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So hi everyone. As Jim said, my name is Samantha Ruggles with RHR Smith and Company. I am new to your audit of FY22, so I, along with Jim, have been learning all of the, I'll call it fun, that you guys have gone through over the past few years. So I'll just touch on what Jim was just talking about in terms of student activity funds. And he's right, there are certain guidelines that we have to follow and that you all have to follow too when it comes to student activity funds. And in the past, student activity funds have been classified as fiduciary funds. And in the past few years, we've really been pushing our clients to handle their student activity funds in a way that makes it uniform with the rest of the processes and procedures that are going on within the school districts. So the way that we are recommending that people do that is to put them on their financial software. And you guys are not the only ones. We have several other school districts in the state who have not maintained their student activity funds on their financial software and we have urged and who are currently putting their student activity funds on their financial software and allowing those expenses and that revenue to be recorded the same way as any other general fund expense or revenue would be handled. And that's really just as a precautionary and kind of to lessen the risk of misuse of funds. Sad to say that student activity funds are where we find a lot of the issues and where a lot of the kind of people fall astray of how those funds are supposed to be used. And so we've been preparing our clients by urging them to do this, knowing that at some point, which is now, that GASB, which is the standards that we have to abide by, was going to push and eventually classify a lot of student activity funds as governmental funds, which in result is going to make them required to be presented differently on your financial statements. And the easiest way to have that happen is to put them on your books and have them go through the same processes and procedures as everything else. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly before I get into, your general fund. I know that Jim handed out a projection for your general fund, and I think that projection was one that I had sent back a while ago. Am I right? Is that the one I sent you originally, Jim?
Yes, it is.
All right. So, and I don't know how many of you have your financial statements in front of you.
I don't think they do.
They do.
They do.
It's in this, right?
It's in their package, so.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Ann.
So if
Thank you,
anyone
Nicole.
wants to, if anyone wants to follow along with me, then feel free. If you're looking at your financial statements, I'm looking at page 16. It's statement C, and this is the statement that's going to show your general fund and all of your other major funds. Your general fund will always be found on this page, always be found on this statement. So if you ever want to know where your surplus is for the end of the year, this is where you're going to find it. There is a correction that Jim and I actually caught together. And if you look on that page, you'll see under the fund balances where it says committed, it has a total of $313,000. That is actually incorrect. So that number actually needs to be 274,873, which is a total accumulation of 2 uses of fund balance from FY 2020 and FY 21 that were never transferred into your capital reserve. So that, just note that that is not the correct number. With that adjustment being
again, please.
274,
absolutely.
872,
Yes.
873.
873. Okay, thank you.
Got it.
So that in turn increases your unassigned fund balance to about $1.14 million. As I've known in the past, as I've seen in the past, you guys are in a very good position. You guys started out with about $892,000. So you've increased your unassigned fund balance quite significantly over the past year. Granted, from the history, you know, there's been some budgetary issues and how to build a budget and all this kind of stuff. And so it's helped you in this sense, but also I would expect that to go down. I know that Jim has some plans and you all have some plans for how that money is going to be used. I know you guys have some construction projects in the work. So I would expect that, you know, it's a good place to be in, but you know, necessarily how we got here is not always the right way, just because, you know, you've had some people in your business office before who didn't really understand governmental accounting and school accounting. And so I will say that you guys are very fortunate to have Jim sitting in that chair now. He has trained and acquired a team in his business office that will, I believe, only get better. And with as much work as they have done over the past year, I can only expect to see better things from the district and from the SU. So that is my spiel. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to fire away.
I have a couple questions, Molly.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, my first question, Samantha, is taking note of the fact that the audit was signed off at RHR Smith on April 4. When was it distributed to the WNESU?
It was signed off on by us on April 4? Is that what you're asking? When was it sent? When was it sent? I would say right around that date. We usually send it out right after we finalize it.
Okay, thank you. And I have one other question, and that is, how many certified public accountants are employed by RHR Smith?
We have, oh good, let me do my math. Hold on. I believe we have 5. Oh, could you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
We heard 5 and then it cut out, so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have 5. We have 5 licensed CPAs on our firm right now. Of
Thank you. Those are my questions, Samantha.
course.
Anyone else have any questions for Samantha? Jim, go ahead.
I just have a comment, and Sam, I'll I'll let you weigh in after my comment, but I just want to reiterate, as I've said in the past, this is fiscal year 22. Now, honestly, fiscal year 22, the bottom line, I'm okay with. But prior, they did not fully understand function codes and object codes for detailing where an expense item was put in. And it does make a heck of a difference. And I gotta tell you, I mean, the bottom line is right on and right where we want it, but I want to tell you, to get to that bottom line is not a straight line. So I just want you to know that if you said particular area concerns you and it didn't look right, well, you know, we did the best that we could in placing costs and expenditures in that category. All right, Sam, you got it.
I think you said that wonderfully, Jim, so I have nothing else.
Any other questions? Rob?
Yeah, I guess since I'm new to the board, I think we received this afternoon, and I guess my question is, are we being asked to vote on this evening?
I'm not comfortable doing that.
Because I
I
feel
got
like,
mine at the meeting
yeah,
tonight.
I feel like anytime we have a responsibility as a board to be able to look through the things and maybe ask some questions for clarification. And Jim, I know you probably do awesome work. I'm new, so please bear with me. But we already have some numbers that are different, so I'm not sure we can approve it as is they are. So my question is, in the future, can we get this in a more timely manner so that we have time to maybe discuss, review it, and then at the next meeting, have all the information to make the best decision for this year and for monthly meetings moving forward?
And I just will mention, when you say timely, well, Sam is going to try to get the 23 done by the end of September. So I think that's a much more timely aspect. You know, we're at the end of the damn year now. And it was excruciating to go back with a number of journal entries that had to be done to try to put things in the right categories. And you can take whatever time you need to go through this and finally approve it at some point in time. Not a big deal. As long as you do it at some time, the board has to approve it and accept it.
David?
Thank you, Molly. I'm just gonna suggest to you, Rob, because you're the new member, you can offer the table on taking action on the agenda tonight, place it on future agenda. And I agree with your logic. I spent an hour, maybe an hour and a half with the electronic version this afternoon. I only made it up to around page 65. So yeah,
That's an hour
it
and a
would be
half
nice
more
to
than I
have a
have.
little more time to look at it.
Yeah. And I just, go ahead,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And I mean, this isn't directed at your work. It's that when we're given this the day of the meeting,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna approve it. I need to look
sure.
at it. And
Absolutely.
as a person on the board for my community.
And I want to say this, this has been a very tough year. Know that we don't have the final SU as yet, the audit. And I mean, next month is the end of the next fiscal year. So I want you to know, well, I'm not certainly not trying to ramrod this through, but wow, this has been excruciating.
So I'd like to make a suggestion, adjustment, something. Sometimes we have so much going on that we lose something at a meeting, so I would like to put this as right now as an agenda item for the first meeting in June. That'll give everybody almost a month to look at it. And we'll put on for an agenda item to review and accept HR Smith report. Is everybody good with that?
For fiscal year 22.
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you, Molly.
And,
Thank you.
you know, I mean, there's a lot in here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you guys not to bombard Jim. Look it over first, read it, try to understand it before you get to page 3 and start throwing Jim a whole bunch of emails, because we gotta respect their time too, so please make a list. And then I don't know, does it make sense that they make a list and they send it to you or I, and, yeah, and then we can kind of consolidate them if 4 people have the same question, let's get it on a list for Jim so that, you know, we're not. I'm trying to respect your time here, that, you know, it's. So if that makes sense to everybody, I'd like you to send the questions. Yes,
I can put a subject line, Molly, called audit question. Make it easier to sort it in the SU if they come in under the subject line of audit question.
Actually, what would be easier is if we create a Google Doc and people can just go right in there and just put their
Can
questions
you
right
do
in the
that?
Google Doc, so we'll
I'd
do that
appreciate
and then that way.
Oh, 20 years.
That way the answers can go right on it and people can see the answers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I just. Sometimes the emails get a little carried away, so I'm just trying to reel them back in a little bit, because. You know, sometimes I get a text, and read your emails today, absolutely not, I'm running a business, I'll read them at 8 o'clock tonight. So, you know, we just gotta get. Just gotta consistent, so thank you for setting up that
Yep.
Google Docs. All right, so, Jim, you got any more?
No, Sam, anything else?
I'm good if you're good.
Okay.
Jim, can you tell me what this is?
Oh, that's a sheet for revenue. That doesn't go with this. That's a
I
revenue.
know what it is, but it was in my stuff, so I wanted you to tell us all.
Shouldn't have been in your stuff.
Oh,
And I was just gonna update
I
you.
don't have it.
okay, I ended up with something I wasn't supposed to have.
No, the only thing this is an update kind of on where we stand now for finances. And we probably pushed 40,000 in encumbrance into expended. And that's really the only change that has happened since April 21. And we're still, if you recall, we're still short on 142,000 in what we're not sure what was, but we think it may have been tuition. And that's still the same. So that's
Okay.
all I have.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jim.
Thank you.
If it's all right with everybody, I'd like to let Jim go home.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Sam, thank you
Thank
for
you.
all your work, hard work, and we look forward to continuing.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to principal's report.
Okay, nice and short one for me tonight. First one was starting tomorrow, the new Vermont CAP testing. It's a new standardized testing in Vermont. We're doing a 3-hour session tomorrow and Thursday. Tomorrow is the heavier day of the two, where we'll have 11th graders doing science and ninth graders doing math. And then on Thursday, it will be the 9th graders doing math. I've got to put a plug in for Mrs. Spalding. She has done a fantastic job. I helped her a little bit, but she's done the heavy lifting for this. And we're in a really good place to give it a shot. I know there's been a lot of negative reports about the sort of implementing it and how it's been going early on for other schools. But I feel we're in a good shape to give it a shot. So, and do as well as we can do. Staff Appreciation Week this week. We're doing several things for the staff. We started today by, I went down to Brattleboro this morning, brought them all some Brugger's bagels with cream cheese, and really just generate some fun and get them going. And for those that are worried, I paid for that out of my own money, so don't worry, there's going to be nothing to sign off on. Scholarship interviews. I was just talking about these recently, and I wanted to put this on because it continues to blow my mind that our money keeps going up that we have for kids who are going into some sort of further education. And I believe there are a few other scholarships out there as well for apprenticeships and stuff like that. But at the total scholarships, it's around about 140,000 that were given out to kids, along with the green and gold, which for those of you that don't know that, the valedictorian in every school in Vermont is always given the green and gold to go to UVM, which is not their room and board, but it's all their tuition that's paid, which is excellent as well. And I believe this year we have possibly our valedictorian is going to go to UVM, so which is good. Spring sports, we're about 2/3 of the way through the season, maybe not quite. Varsity baseball doing well. They lost a few games by close ones in talking with their coach. JV baseball are starting to pick up. They began 0-4, but they've split their last 2 games. Softball been going really well. Varsity softball, they just lost a close game to Latham and Gray at the Friday, I think it was there. JV softball again, a few less games, but they're improving all the time. Girls tennis 0-4, and again that was up to Friday. They had another game today. I'm not sure how they did today. Track, we've had 4 meets. The girls have been, for a small team, have been doing really, really well. The boys are always consistent in pulling off either some PRs or some major event times or major throws. I was at the Brattleboro meet and just to hear some individuals coming back and saying, Mr. Broadley, I PR'd, I did this, I did that. You know, they're taking a lot out of this season and making it good. And the bottom there, I added on important dates. We're getting up there, we're getting near there now. The 14th is class night, 7 p.m. in the auditorium. And then June 15th is graduation, 6:30 on Hadley Field. So that's pretty much what I have for now.
May I just add a couple of things, just because it changed today, and we just put this out. We actually just got a waiver from the state for the 2 snow days in March, when the power was out and there was a state of emergency. So that's adjusting our last student day to June 21st, and the last teacher day will be June 22nd. And that's with June 19th as a no school day. And so without those waivers, we were going to have to come to school on June 19th, just otherwise we'd be into the following week, which there's a lot of conferences and stuff that are coming. So we're appreciative of the state for waiving those days.
And it shouldn't impact graduation. And I'm meeting with counseling tomorrow we'll revamp the finals days and put those out at some point tomorrow. Let people know. So that's good.
And that last student day though is always traditionally been another release day.
Yeah.
So.
Zilla?
Yeah, rather than add this later, I'd like to add this under John's. Last Thursday, the DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, met at the library, and Grace Warriors was your selected person for her essay from this school. And she actually won 2nd in the state, and that was also awarded to her on Thursday. So that, which is they have to go in a room, write an essay with no advance notice, write the essay, and then submit it, and they're monitored while they do that. And she did really well.
Great. Thank you.
I got a couple questions. Parking lot, I know that I get it, the plant hasn't opened, somebody hasn't got here. We need to get some gravel or something, so we gotta do something. I haven't been down here in a couple weeks and it's a mess. And, you know, I know we got a tractor here and I know we must have some dirt. And I hope that we can do something to fill them in until the right job can get done. And do we have a time frame?
Sure,
on
let
when
me
company's
talk
gonna
with
come?
Sean. Sean spoke with the guys that are the company that's doing it for us, and they still hadn't had a go on the stuff they put in it. I've forgotten the name of it.
So the hot patch
Yeah, the hot
plant is
stuff.
open because they patched the parking lot where I work, so it's open.
And then it's the blowing out all the holes and cleaning
I
them up
get they
before
don't
they
wanna
put it in.
fill them holes, but that's bad, that's
But
embarrassing.
if it's gonna be, like, if we're not getting it done this week, then I'll see what we can do to
Um,
do a.
so you
temporary
don't have a date on when it's getting done?
Not yet, no.
Who's doing it?
I forgot the name of the company. It's,
Jeff told me, not Jeff,
Jeff Potter's-
Sean told me.
Jeff
last
Potter's
week.
son's company. I forget the name of it.
Okay,
I'll get it. I'll get it for you.
When I spoke with Sean Thursday or Friday of last week, he thought that they'd be doing it midweek, which is why we decided to put the cones up as opposed to filling them. But I think if it's looking like it's gonna be towards the end of the week or whatever, well, and we were hoping, it's just been raining so much that.
no,
Yeah.
No, because I asked about filling them too, and the thought was if they're gonna do it, early part of the week, we could maybe get by, and if it's towards the later half, if not till next week, then we're gonna have to. fill
And I think
holes.
the weather's good through Friday, and I know they have to blow them out and get all the crap out of them. But if it's going to be the end of the week or early in the next week, then we can fill them out and they can blow them out again. So when we do them, so
When you say doing it, you mean filling in the holes or paving the whole thing?
No,
filling
We're
the
just
whole.
gonna fix
Just-
those.
okay,
Yeah, cause we
alright.
can't do the parking lot until we
No,
get.
I
the
know, I
roof done.
didn't think so, but I wanted to clarify.
I
it.
see you, Jason. I got one more. And I get it's rain week. I get it, but what I see when I pull in is the tire tracks on the bank and, things aren't, I just hope that we can kind of groom things up a little better. I think that there's a lot of presentation that we might be missing a little bit of, where it just, when you're first pulling the school, it's not pretty. It needs to be pretty.
Sure.
Presentation, that's a word I always use, but it's, I'd like to see us kind of take a little more. I'm trying to be careful to say, I don't offend anybody, but a little more pride in what we're doing. The holes in the parking lot and the bank just looks. And I'm afraid that it isn't anybody's fault. It's just, we got new people doing a job that probably they're really worried about keeping, I'll pick on Mr. Lockerbie because he's got broad shoulders, that the baseball field's perfect, but we're not, And I don't even know that. I'm just saying, I think he's trying, and I've
Right.
been around when he's been out there, and he's very almost nervous when he sees me out there, even if I'm just going for a walk, but I think he just needs a little guidance in some spots to just realize that.
is it, I'm sorry.
So that's, I just wanna make sure we're helping that guy
Yeah.
succeed.
No, you're absolutely right.
And that's, that's our job. Or it's not my job, but
We'll get it done.
Jason,
I'm just gonna echo what you said. For me, it doesn't make sense to plop a cone in it. And then, to wait a week. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's my issue, maybe I'm cut from a different cloth. But you can very easily get some Sure-Pack, have it dumped. Get a couple staff or whatever. I'd come and do it if I didn't fear I'd catch some flack from people that work in the building. You throw some Sure-Pack in there, tamp it down, you're done, and it could be done in a couple hours. It could be a good team building exercise, but you're right, it's terrible looking, and it's just excuses. So.
Rob,
Speaking about presentation, how much longer is the bus at the front of the school gonna stay there? And can it be looked at when we have graduation? That's not one of the first things that people see.
Yeah, we can have, we were just trying to generate, that actually generated a couple of drivers for us.
that was a good idea.
But I think it's kind of jumped the shark at this point.
I worry because every time I go by that front, that door is wide open, and we've had I think people put a broomstick there. I worry about vandalism too,
Yeah.
coming off right up that road.
I agree about a skunk getting in there. Anything else for Mr. Bradley? All right. So we are going to move on to 7B. Resignations and appointments, and I'm gonna just go to you, Andy. Do you want to present what you have and then have Tim speak, or do you want to hear what Tim's speaking about first?
Let me just go through, because I have some resignations that, folks asked me
Do those
to,
first? Okay.
asked me to read, hold on to it. So one of the first resignations, that I have is, from Laura Tabachnik. She's a social studies teacher. He says, "Dear Superintendent Haas and Bells Falls Union High School school board members, thank you for the opportunity to teach at Bells Falls Union High School for the past 6 years. It has been an honor. I am grateful for every minute I got to spend with each one of the amazing young adults in the BFUHS community. Please accept this as my formal notice of resignation." The other is Kristen Gottschalk. Hold that one up real quick. And Kristen emailed me this morning. I'm writing to let you know that I plan to accept an offer to teach health with BUHS. I haven't signed a contract with them, but I plan to do so next week.
So
So-
Kristen
Gottschalk was science and health.
and Laura was social studies.
And Jennifer Arrow, our choral teacher, has also resigned and accepted a position in Keene Middle School. It's a full-time position. She lives in Keene. So
And she was only part-time
she's
here, right?
part-time here, correct. So. And then I have 3 appointments. Tim, how do you want, I mean, I can do the appointments or?
Defer to you, Andy.
Okay, let me do the appointments and then.
Yep, thank you.
So we have 3 appointments and I can,
Well, you're passing those out.
Yep.
Andrew. Just a question, when we have teachers leaving, does the SU or the high school ever do exit interviews?
We do.
Okay.
We do. And so I've arranged those already, starting to arrange those this
Okay.
year. So
Thank you.
thank you for that question.
Can we do one at a time? Sometimes we pull them together and,
So I'm gonna start with Rose Monahan. I had the pleasure of speaking with Rose, I think on Thursday. But Rose is a native of Vermont. She's been out in Indiana teaching and wants to get closer to home. But we just in talking to her, I mean, just real briefly, just amazed. She was, I think she did this during the interview too, Tim. I mean, you know, she was actually overseeing a PE or a track practice and and doing the interview at the same time, and how she was able to command the especially when I was talking to her, how she was able to command the students, but at the same time, and I've shared with a couple of folks just intermittently when I saw them, there was a moment when I was speaking with her where a student came up to just tell her something, and just how she shifted and the focus she had on the student and just the words that she had for that student, such kind words. And like, it was this moment you don't always get to see with a person that's coming in,
Yeah.
right? So, it was quite, pleasurable. So, she'd be joining us at a step 5 for the masters. Don't know if there's any questions about Rose.
can I have a motion? Oh, June, you got your hand up? Get on mute. Can't hear you. Can you unmute her?
No, I can't unmute her. You can only ask her to unmute.
Does June have this stuff?
I don't know.
June, were you trying to talk? You're still muted.
Let me see if I can do it here. I might be.
So I'm gonna get a motion on the table and we'll let June speak before we do anything. Can someone give me a motion?
I'll give you a motion, Molly. I'll make a motion that we hire, Rose. What's her last name? Rose
Monahan.
Monahan, as a math teacher for next year at step
Step
5.
I second that.
I can't.
MA, step 5. And
I
MA,
can't.
step 5.
You wanna call me, June? Oh, you're done. Now you can speak.
Priscilla answered it. I missed the math part. I didn't know what
Okay.
she was being appointed for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions about Rose? Jason?
At the last meeting, we were talking about staffing numbers and stuff like that. So I'm just a little confused. How does this play into the mix?
So currently, we have 3 open positions
In
with-
that?
in
Okay,
mathematics.
I had no more questions.
Okay. Are we ready to vote?
Just one clarification on that. That means we have 2 currently returning, right?
Correct.
Does that help, Jason?
All right, June, how do you vote? You can give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if it helps.
She was a head shake, yes.
Oh, okay.
There's a thumbs up.
I didn't see that.
I see a thumbs up, so.
Tanya,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Brenda,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Welcome aboard. Rose?
I mean, not, all of these are math appointments, so, if that helps, the next one is, Jeffrey, Weiser. And Jeffrey is, relocating to Vermont from Portland, Oregon. He's a native of New England, spent some time at UVM, wants to get back to the area. His wife is gonna be teaching in a neighboring district. Talked with him on Friday, had a really nice conversation. Really, again, the level of awareness of teaching math that he will bring to our students, I think is really impressive. He's been teaching at the community college for quite some time. But also, we really talked about like how to look at structures to support kids and build instruction, tutorials like where kids can go and get help if they need help. If the classroom teacher, doesn't have that opportunity, but he just genuinely wants to work with kids and help kids. Wants to get involved in other things in the community. He has a master's in ESOL, which is an area we might be able to tap into also. Given that we don't have a huge population of ELL students, it's nice to have that piece, and we did reduce that position at the SU level down to a half-time position because our numbers were so low. He'd be joining us at a master's plus 30 and a step 12.
I couldn't see that in here. I missed that page. I don't have that page. That's
It's
okay.
on the
As long as you
back.
got it.
Molly, it's gonna be on the back of the first packet.
Yeah, no,
All right.
that's okay. As long as we got it.
I have a quick.
Go ahead. So let's get a motion and then we can talk about Jeffrey.
I can do a motion for Jeff Weiser, as a math teacher, and you have him listed as step 12 with a master's plus 30.
All right,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this full-time teaching that we're giving him 12 for? Because I'm not, I mean, it was adult education and math, it was an adjunct instructor. Is that necessarily 12 years of experience?
We coupled that with the tutoring, and, the amount of time he spent doing tutoring with students, but also the time he was doing with the community college, we did count those years.
Okay, so you looked at that carefully.
Yep.
any other questions or comments on Jeffrey? Okay, we have a motion to appoint Jeffrey Reiser as math teacher, masters plus 30 at a step 12. And I'd like to go to a vote. June, how do you vote? June says yes. Tanya,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Brenda,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
and Mike.
Yes.
Welcome aboard, Jeffrey. Well, we're just flying right now.
Trying. Our last appointment is Ira Richardson. Ira actually is not new to us. This past year, Ira's been, he started doing his student teaching with us, and then we decided to throw him into the mix, into the fire, so to speak, and he's done an exceptional job. I picked up a full load this second semester, and was did a great job with the kids, and so we'd like to bring him on permanently. He'd be coming on as a bachelor's, step 5.
This is the young man that Tim spoke about, right?
Correct.
I would make a motion that we hire Ira Richardson for a math position at a bachelor's step 5.
Any comments, questions?
A question.
Yes.
He came to us through Keene State.
I don't think it's Keene State. Where is it?
Almost Dartmouth.
Dartmouth?
Is that right?
UEVI,
Yeah.
UVEI, what is that?
Valley Educational Institute.
Okay,
I thought it was.
got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
The other two teachers are, who are the other two teachers?
Excuse me?
Who are the other two teachers that we have on?
Tim and Megan.
And
Okay, so we're voting on a motion to accept Ira Richardson as a full-time math teacher to step 5 in a bachelor's degree. Tanya,
Yes.
June? Okay. Darcy,
Yes.
Brenda,
yes.
Jason,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
and Mike.
Yes.
Welcome aboard, Ira. Are you done?
Yeah, I was hoping to have one more appointment for you, tonight, but I was not. I've been playing phone tag with it.
Hopefully we might need to ask you to have a special meeting.
Okay, well, we're pretty good at that at noon time's a good time for me.
Noon, okay, got it.
Tim, you're up.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Must be.
Molly.
We did.
Molly, can I just ask a quick question?
Yep.
Regarding the math department, do we have any of those that we just appointed? Are they eligible to teach our advanced students, our AP classes?
I'm gonna defer to Tim just to.
Tim?
We would say all of them are, especially Ira and Rose. I'm not sure that Jeffrey's taught calculus recently, but yeah.
Good.
They're all
Okay,
eligible. The
I was under
fact-based-
assumption that you needed a special degree or something or special class to be able to teach it.
There is a summer institute that teachers who teach advanced placement have to attend and, take that course.
Okay, but someone's willing to take it? Or do we
Yes.
not know that
Yes,
yet?
someone is willing to take it. We don't, I think that's something they're still discussing.
Yep,
Who.
nope, as long as that's covered. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Molly,
Yes,
for the, do we have to do anything for resignations? Do we have to vote on that or anything like that?
No, because it was just about, they had to get it in by May 5th, and so.
Okay, thank you.
so the next thing that we added to the agenda was board minute recordings. We seem to struggle with this every month, every week. I put it on there just because I've heard from a couple of board members and, it has to come from us. If we want to try to change the situation, we can't keep yelling at Andy. We gotta take some action. It's on us at this point. Do we advertise for someone new? Do somebody have a heart to heart with the person that's doing it, and hopefully we get it done? I thought, and David, you're gonna help me with this, please, that there was a certain time frame that those had to get put into us. And yeah, in my mind was 5 days, but
Well, I think the Priscilla's about to confirm it, but yes, the board has 5 days to produce approved minutes. under statute.
after the meeting,
Yes.
yeah. So, Tara, you're on here. I don't know if you have any input or if you can help me, but we need to get these minutes back into Nicole's hands within 5 days. So, if you wanna, reach out to me tomorrow, if you're uncomfortable doing on Zoom, that's up to you, but I think we need to have a conversation. I need to be able to report back to the board what we are doing, what you and I figured out, please. So Tara, will you please contact me tomorrow?
I'll reach out to her.
Okay, thank you.
Is she doing the minutes tonight?
She's right there. I mean, she's on the screen, so yes.
Okay,
The right answer is yes.
okay. Thank you.
Hold, I see you. Yes, Priscilla.
Okay, it's possible that our recorder has been just trying to really try to keep up with this to help us and be considerate of us, and she may actually
That's why
prefer for us to find someone so that.
That's why we're
because
gonna have a
she's
conversation.
overwhelmed. So just as a matter of, I wanted to put it out there though, that she may be just trying to do something for us, so.
Jason?
No,
No, I'm not.
It may be
I don't
better.
wanna have any problems with anybody. I just wanna have a conversation so that we can do a better job.
So I just, so everyone knows, it is the responsibility of the clerk of the board to take minutes. That can be deferred to someone else, but that responsibility goes to the clerk.
So if it's not getting done, I don't have to take care of it, the clerk does?
Darcy.
So that would have been great information. at the Organizational meeting.
Oh, we didn't tell you that?
No,
Did we
we're
throw you
fine.
under the bus?
Yeah, so we're fine. Tara and I'll talk tomorrow and we'll figure something out.
Okay,
So I know we're talking about board minutes, but what about agendas? Because I've raised this last board meeting about making sure that we had an agenda Thursday, Friday morning at the latest. So we have a chance to revamp it or look at it prior to our meeting. I just feel as a new board member, I'm walking in and I'm seeing the agenda for the first time at this meeting, and it's really hard for me to wrap my head around what things are going on and what we're gonna potentially be voting on.
So my goal and my office's goal is that it goes out Friday. That's not Friday morning, because a lot of times we're still working on things up until the end of the day, but to give you at least the weekend to look at it. As far as agenda items, I mean, that's developed between the board chair and myself. It's, it's not like I want to throw this on, I want to throw that on. It's something, so you might have an item, but depending on what we think the length of the meeting's going to be, we might put that on another date type of thing. But if you have agenda items, you can email me with them, because I meet with Molly, Thursday, if not, it depending on our schedules, it might be Friday morning, to put that together. So, but that's my goal, is that it's going out Friday, by the end of the day, Friday.
And the agenda and some of that stuff is stuff that I would like to, just have some brief discussions and understanding about at our retreat. To try to help everybody understand, one of the things that when I first became chair, I thought, well, I'm gonna just get everybody involved. And I said, anybody wants an agenda item, email it to me. Well, if I did everything everybody wanted, you better be cooking breakfast, because it was just like, everybody had their own. So then we had to back down and say, you can adjust an agenda if you come in, and we will listen to anybody if they have something they want, but it got so everybody was sending stuff, and it was too much. So then we came to a point where we said, if it's an item that we have to vote on, then we have to have it on the agenda. We can't adjust the agenda to make a monetary vote tonight.
Right.
That has to
And I guess my question is the timing of it, not whether we put stuff on the agenda, but the timing of when we receive it, so that we can, at least for me, I don't want to speak for other board members, but to at least have that, to know what we're looking at.
Yeah, we're supposed to have it by Friday night.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
it just helps to give us a peek of what we're
Yep.
coming into, so we can.
Yeah, the principal's report is supposed to be there, everything's supposed to be there by Friday afternoon.
Thank you.
So. Bring these back in here. So that's all I've got for board minute recordings, but, let's put that back on. On an agenda item for next meeting, in the first meeting in June. And unfinished business, update on principal search.
So I know we're gonna have an executive session, but just to update people, just where we are, on a timeline. We are, gonna be interviewing candidates on Wednesday. For the principal, the high school. And then, we have set, Wednesday, May 24th, will be a day, to have the candidates here in the building, meeting students, meeting staff, and then having a community meeting, following that, so. So we'll have some push, some stuff we push out, through social media and whatnot, for that, but we're gonna begin, interviewing, I believe, right around 5 o'clock, so. On Wednesday the 10th.
3:30. 3:30.
Sorry, I'm looking at an old email that said 4:30, so I buffered myself.
3:30.
Okay, so,
That is Wednesday, the 17th.
no,
No, this
Wednesday the
Wednesday.
10th, and then Wednesday the 24th. Will be a
Okay,
community meeting.
3:30 on the 10th. Nicole sent me a text.
Yeah, there it is. I didn't go all the way down on the bottom, so we're gonna be beginning at 3:30.
Okay, perfect. Next thing on here is Haver.
So again, just wanted to update it, just because there's been some questions. I began, communicating with the Haver folks, back early March. Just trying to kind of get an understanding of where things were. Had a phone conversation, with them also, just about, how the funds could be used and whatnot, in conversation with them. Carolyn Hannon, is the woman. She emphasized that really the focus of, the foundation is on financial literacy and not on the sciences and whatnot. And I had begun to talk to her about the possibility of the science wing. she indicated pretty strongly that was not something that they were interested in, looking at, under this foundation. And then she indicated that she thought that the letter should be, updated to kind of refocus us to know exactly where, that should go. And then there was kind of radio silence for a while, and I was like I was getting a little worried, what happened? I did email her today. They're in the middle of scholarships, just like we are. And so, I'd sent off your stuff, Mike, because I've been trying to get a meeting with them so we could do a proposal with them. And I hadn't heard anything back, and, she emailed you back really almost right away. She said, I've received it. We've been focusing on scholarships right now. We'll get back to you really soon. So that's kind of where we are on that point. But try and answer any questions.
Okay. I ran across it in the audit, and at the end of 22 was 217, 223, something like that. I should have written it down because a lot of pages in that document. Do you know where we stand with Haver today? What the fund balance is?
I can get it for you, David. I don't know. I think some of my
Page 35.
just
35.
just even as
What's the number, if I can ask?
even
you
as Samantha wrote,
227,340 is listed
off.
here.
So
On
I
page 35.
I'm my worry was something coded incorrectly, and so it hasn't.
Can we
Driven
go
down.
a little bit further with that,
Yeah.
Molly? And that is, and John, you need to help me on this. It is my recollection that we intended to fund halftime math initially
Yes.
through Haver, which of course would be Tim's work. And I'm also aware of the fact that Principal Hodgson nicked Haver for $16,000 in BYU classes. And I can't quite make those numbers add up unless the support for the halftime math teacher was FY23. Do you know if it was FY22 or FY23?
This year, so FY.
Okay, FY23, okay. So yeah, I think it would be
Yeah, and I think
worthwhile knowing where we're at.
and that was Carolyn's also, one of the things she noted was that was her understanding that there were some BYU classes. And then, part of Tim's salary was supposed to be in there. So, they noted that. The other piece was when they were, just to fill in a little bit, when they were talking about the science and just, the conversation I had with her was their initial thought was we were going to need things to run that class, computers and other pieces. And when the school said we don't really need those things, that's where things kind of shifted. They did speak very highly of the curriculum that Tim had kind of looked into, the online curriculum, and was looking to use. And she even talked about that the Haver Fund was looking at potentially reaching out to that organization to see if they needed any support, separate from us. But just, I think that gives a little bit of support and relevance to that curriculum. So,
But one more question, please, Molly. And that is, at the time, it was represented to us by Principal Hodgson that one of the allowable uses of Haver would be to encourage efforts towards distance learning. Do we know if that was an allowable Haver use, or did I mishear it?
No, it was, David, you're right.
Okay,
And in 2021, financial year 21, we spent 3,900 on BYU. And in 2022, we spent 3,000 on BYU. So a total in those 2 years of 6,900. So,
and I would therefore like to suggest that that, of course, it's a better topic for board retreat, but that we do start thinking about how we're going to address distance learning. under this roof, loosely speaking.
Thank you.
All my questions.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about Haver? Looks like there's none. Update on track surface.
Yeah, I brought that up
I,
at the last meeting,
Yep.
and it went really late, so that's why I asked to have it moved here.
so there isn't, we don't have an update.
Okay.
We haven't had a building and grounds, we gotta get a building and grounds meeting going, but we got a lot of things we're trying to do. And that is gonna be on the plan. We're working on this 2-year, 5-year, 10-year plan on where we are.
Yeah.
So that we don't drop something like we did the tennis courts.
That's my main, that was my main
There
question.
is,
Yep.
you know, there's a lot of things, the track needs work, a lot of things need work, and so really Andy and I are we're taking every 10 minutes we have and trying to talk about what should be on this plan, and Andy's working on a master schedule of, you know, here's where we're at. When we get that to a point, I think the time frame we were talking about was like maybe by the end of the summer, we'd have something that we could show the boards.
Yeah, I think our focus has been trying to secure and hire staff right now, and that's why we haven't had a buildings and grounds. Just every minute is.
And we're working on, we had a meeting today. Yes, we had a meeting today to, you know, try to secure all the things that Steve Horton needs to keep that part of what we're doing going on, so. We do have we're working on a master plan. And
I guess a clarifying question is it in the budget?
no,
Okay, that's what I needed to.
Yeah,
Thank
so one of the things we're working with Steve Horton on in trying to organize some things is obviously address projects that can be spent using ESSER funds first, because they have a time limit. And then looking at bonds or local funds. And so if there were something like like the tennis courts or a track, if we got that on a schedule, working with the construction management, we might be able, he was trying to get the tennis courts pushed through faster. That just didn't seem to work. But we could then get that on that docket, and that company could potentially oversee, because we're looking to have working with them beyond the ESSER funds, because they would be looking at potential, they would oversee the driveway, they would oversee the roof, the HVAC system, and other stuff in other buildings, so.
Thank you.
you're welcome. So we're gonna move on to director's comments, and then don't leave me because we're going into executive session. So we're gonna start on the screen. Tanya, do you have any director's comments? Did we lose her?
I think we lost her.
All right, June,
None.
none? Thank you, June, for coming. June has been under the weather for several days. Darcy,
I don't think so. Keep moving forward.
Brenda,
Just that the month of May is pretty eventful with the mental health awareness and teacher appreciation. And a lot of other things, putting my garden in, but we've heard a lot of studies done on how students have suffered through different things in the last year or two. So just a shout out to the teachers who have to be responsible to do the academic as well as some of the other parts.
Jason,
Two things, Molly. Thank you. One, first and foremost, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there this Sunday. And for the next meeting, not the retreat, but the next meeting after, I'd like to consider an agenda item, please, to do some sort of time study for staffing. And have Andy have that ready for us well before budget season, as far as, I don't know what the right wording should be, but how many staff we actually need. So when we're looking at the budgets, you know, what are all the numbers and all of the parameters and everything that's involved with how many people we actually need in the building. And I'd like to have it done way before budget season. So I'd like to get that on the agenda for next time. Thank you.
David?
Well, Molly, I will point out that from time to time, we have had members of student council attend these meetings in a somewhat active role. Although I've always expressed the desire to also have some representation from the in-school suspension list, because those are the people whose school aren't working for, and I'd like to hear why. Now, I want to take note of the fact that after our last meeting, we were promised board watchers. And I'm a little bit uncomfortable tonight to see that the board is sitting here and the people I believe who are our board watchers are sitting there. I don't like that kind of arrangement. And if there's a commitment on the part of staff to provide board members to school board meetings, then I think they ought to be sitting up at this table. So it's not quite as an adversarial situation as the current placement would seem to indicate it is. And quite frankly, I hope that we would be able to receive their inputs the same way that we've received student inputs in the past. I very much do not regard it as an us and them situation, even if we disagree on things. Okay. The other thing I want to say, and that is this. Out in the hall, what I call the kindness wall, you have I don't know, you see them in front of churches, heaven help me, a blackboard with white letters under glass, and it's a kindness comment from Scott Adams. And I'm discomforted by that one because Scott Adams is, of course, the creator of Dilbert. And I think that most people are quite well aware that Scott Adams and his comic strip got canceled big time for his, I would say, almost obscenely racist comments made in his social media post, which he not only did not repudiate, but doubled down on in his subsequent social media posts. I'm not comfortable with the concept of cancel culture. And back to student council, Mr. Bradley, I think it's something that maybe student council should talk about, whether that represents a teachable moment out there on that display board, or whether he's simply unwelcome in this school. I think that that's a good one for student council to take up. Thank you for your time, Molly.
Thank you. Priscilla?
Yeah, it's a very, very busy time. Maybe that's why they picked this week for Teacher Appreciation Week. Teachers are been right out straight all year, and they get to this point and they've still got another month to go. So hopefully the parents out there, the community, and board members can all be very appreciative of them and know that they are really hardworking and they're out there for our students. I would hope that each one of our students could give them a kind word in this week and for every week from now to the end of the year, as well as parents. Remember that kindness that David spoke of. And if you stand in that sign out there, the I is missing. If you stand there, you can put yourself in that, be that I and kind, and you stand there and you really think about it, it will increase that level of kindness, I hope. Thank you.
Rob, I'm looking forward to the board retreat on May 22nd, and also working on board goals so that we can best represent our community. Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, Rob mentioned the board retreat on the 22nd. And I think for me, new to this process, but the bottom line is the academic needs of the students are really in my mind, the kind of the highest priority that the board can focus on. Obviously, with a multi-million-dollar operating budget, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that we have to deal with. But I think the curriculum, which is really the core of the direction of the school, is really something that we need to focus on. And a couple of questions that I want to ask is, number one, is our curriculum shooting kind of where the rabbit was versus where it should be today? I've expressed this before, but I don't think the measure of success today is the number of students that we have aspiring to go to college. In my mind, and this is just my opinion, and that's why we need to get a lot of input from the community and all the stakeholders. Roughly, if the numbers are 60% students aspire to go to college, half of those students are not going to graduate from college. That knocks the number down into the 30 to 40% range. So in my mind, the traditional college prep curriculum is out of touch with today's reality. And I think we should take a look at that. Now, it's a very complex issue. It's something that is going to not be solved overnight. Andy's looking at bringing in some support to evaluate a lot of these questions. So my proposal is that, we start the process with our retreat. We figure out how to go about doing this. We figure out how to schedule and bring in, students, their parents, college bound, non-college bound, businesses, taxpayers. I'd love to really open it up to obviously members of the school, staff, folks like Mark Ebo that are in the trenches. Love to have those people come in, give us their inputs. And then we, try to come up with a proposal in terms of what is the right thing to do in today's day and age. According to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, only 27% of the jobs out there today require a college degree. So, I have an opinion, but that's not what's important. What's important is all the input. I do think, if you looked at the traditional college prep curriculum, I'd give that a failing grade in my book. I think it misses a big chunk of your student population that, may need a different approach. So I think it's something we need to look at. And so I'm looking forward to that. And so I see that first meeting as kind of a planning session as to how we go about doing this, how we broaden and bring that input into the board. And, hopefully, we've got that second Monday of the month as a kind of a reserve day. Maybe we can use multiple opportunities there to bring folks in. We can figure out, who can, best connect with businesses, et cetera, and pursue that. To me, I can't think of a more important, and so many things can fall out potentially from a change to the curriculum that, we'll deal with that next. But I think the most important thing is making sure, and, it's a catch-22 from the standpoint of it's complicated, it's difficult, but, for those kids that are in the school right now, time is of the essence. So you want to get input, you want to study it, but you don't want to study it to death because of real opportunity cost, I believe. So anybody had any questions or?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Are you gonna mention prom? Cause I forgot.
Excuse me?
Are you gonna mention prom? Cause I forgot.
I don't know a thing about the prom here. I didn't hear anything bad, so I assume it went over well.
It was
And-
Saturday night.
And I knew it was Saturday night,
Everybody
but
looked wonderful.
Mr. Broadley even kept quiet about it, so I didn't know if I should talk about it.
Prom went great. Oh, sorry. May I speak?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Prom went fantastic. We had a junior, senior prom to, by general request, to get us back on a junior prom basis after the pandemic. And it went phenomenal. We had about 250 students, good supervision, just a good night. Good night was had by all. Large courts, and it took a lot of time to organize. And Kim and Mola Ross did a phenomenal job with the juniors, and Stu Strothman did a phenomenal job with the senior class. And I think if you polled the kids, they had a good time. So.
Good. Okay, so couple things I've got, board retreat. I had to have my arm twisted pretty hard to do it because I had some bad experiences on some, but I'm pretty excited that we're gonna actually do this and start it because what I see is this first one being a little hokey because we haven't done it in a while and we need to kind of get a feel for what it looks like and feels like and what does a board retreat mean to everybody. What we have learned is that it has to be an open meeting because it's more than training, it's talking about things. What I'm hoping is that we have this first one and we kind of figure out how it's gonna work. And then we have another one in a couple months and we invite like the head of math and the head of, and they help us understand what we need as a school, not, and I look at our staff and I think, there's probably so much more that they could tell us that they don't. And I would love to hear, how do I make that, how do I help this farm kid and this kid that wants the AP? We only got 300 kids in our school. How do we make that work? Because we gotta take care of both of them and we gotta take care of both of them 100%. So, and I'm sure that every teacher out there wants that same thing. And then we start talking about class sizes and we start worrying about things that when we're looking at the budget are very, very important. So I think that as a board, we need to hear not just from the principal or the superintendent or the finance guy. We need to hear from, at least the teachers that are in charge of their departments on how it looks for them. Because I don't know how it looks. All I know is what I learned at this table. I put a child through this school, but I think probably she was a pretty easy child, so I didn't get involved in a lot of stuff that happens behind all these walls. So I hope that we're opening something up, and Mike, I commend you for pushing me a little bit to do it, because I needed that push. Instead of somebody just saying, why don't we do it? You said, hey, we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna help you get this started, and that's what we needed. So this first one is gonna be at the Institute in Westminster. And Harley is going to work us up some food. If he doesn't, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We're gonna have some,
Time frame
we're gonna have something to eat there, and we're gonna, we don't have to sit around a square table. We could be a little more relaxed. It is an open meeting law, so, we can't get too carried away. But I don't think that's a bad thing for us. I think a little bit of, I don't know what, we can't, I think that my envision of a board retreat was something that probably shouldn't have happened. So I'm glad that we are doing it a little more organized. And so, I'm looking forward to the 22nd, just to get us all together and be able to talk about things. And, maybe Darcy thinks that we really should do this right here, but how do you tell us that when we got this agenda that we're trying to get through all night long, So that's what I hope we're gonna happen. Very excited about, the end of the year, and the kids have got a lot going on. This place is gonna be humming. One thing that we haven't heard of tonight that I tried to look on my phone, I can't remember the date. What's the date of the job career
June
fair?
6th.
When is it?
June 6th.
June 6th.
Yeah.
So right now I have, I've written down May 24th, June 6th, June 14th, June 15th, there's a lot going on. So hopefully anybody that can show up at class night. That's a really neat thing to watch. I don't know a lot of the kids, on a one-on-one basis anymore. I mean, my daughter's been here for 4 years, but it's still fun to see Mrs. Perry's young man get something on stage. I can't even remember his name, but I've seen him since he was this big, and it's wicked fun to just sit back in the back seat where no other parents want to be, because they all want to be up front, and just watch all those kids that have. And it isn't just the kid that's going to college, it's the kid that, last year, a young man got a scholarship to start his own business. And he's got his own little lawnmower business, and I thought that was pretty neat to see that our little community does things like that, because. You know, this is the time of year, you know, why you want a school board? Well, boy, if you don't care about going and watching those kids get all those things they work so hard for, then I don't know why we're doing it, because that's why we're doing it. So the last thing I have that I might have dropped the ball, I'm supposed to have done it on public comments, but I'm taking the floor here for a second. I had a note handed to me tonight when I sat down. Your kind and thoughtful expressions of sympathy is deeply appreciated and gratefully acknowledged. Bellows Falls Union High School Board. Your lovely bouquet of flowers arrived on May 1st, May Day. It was a much needed help on that day, as Eric had always done an activity of helping plant or pick violets for us on that day. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, Priscilla and Dave. It is an honor to know Priscilla and Dave, and I am so proud of how they have taken care of Eric, and you know, all of us that are in this community, we've watched him grow up. And I've tried not to do this to Priscilla, but sorry, Priscilla. I tried to wait a little bit. That's why we waited a little bit before we sent flowers, because we figured that, everybody was probably throwing stuff at you for the first couple weeks. But I'm very sorry for your loss, and you and David should be very, very proud of what you did for that young man. I think I've said enough. I've made at least one person cry, so I didn't want to do that. I need a motion to go into first thing I gotta do is date of next meeting. I look at my calendar and I think, is he gonna tell me we need to be here on the 12th? Because that week is really full.
That is the regular schedule.
So I'm
But we
okay
can
with
move
that.
that.
I'm okay with that if everybody else is, but if somebody's like got way too much going on that week, they gotta speak up.
That
The
is
12th is the week of graduation, class night, and whatever else all you guys are got going on. I'm not hearing any problems with it, so I'm gonna put 12th for now. And if we have to change it, then somebody just tell us something. Now I need a motion to go into executive session, David.
Okay, Molly, I would like to move to go into executive session, for discussion of, high school principal candidates, where premature public knowledge, has the potential to disadvantage the board, or the candidates. And I would argue thereby the community as well.
All those in favor of June? Yes, executive session? Okay, the table, I'm just gonna do a round table, yes?
Yes.
Okay, we're going into the fishbowl for executive session.
You were muted. Do it one more time. Molly, turn around. Yeah.
It is 8:38 and meeting is adjourned.
Wait till somebody watches that video, right?